Welcome back to Loyalty Leaders Podcast. I'm David Feldman, Chair of Loyalty Summit, and I'm joined today by Phil Rubin, who's Chair of Loyalty Summit CXM Los Angeles, coming up in just a few weeks in February in Los Angeles, and Claudia Infante from Margaritaville, who was at our inaugural Loyalty Summit CXM in Los Angeles last year. Welcome, Phil and Claudia.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Welcome back.
Phil, I might start with you if that's okay. For those who might have missed our recent chat where we sort of talked a little bit about the agenda for Loyalty Summit CXM Los Angeles and what we've got planned. I mean, there's an amazing 2-day agenda coming up for Los Angeles with a huge roster of great speakers, Claudia being one of them, especially a returning speaker. Could you, for those that might not be familiar with the event, haven't been before, maybe a little bit about what the event is, what to expect, and then we might bring Claudia into the conversation.
Sounds good. So what we tried to do from the beginning with Loyalty Summit CXM, as opposed to Loyalty Summit, which is very travel focused, is to really have a similar type event, a little more intimate, more geared towards strategic leaders and strategic issues surrounding customers, loyalty, customer experience, and do it use the more intimate format so that it's really a summit and not just a conference. So that's the first thing. And then as far as what we're doing this year, the theme is really about the loyalty being brand driven and the opportunity for innovation. So it follows the idea, or sort of my observations on the marketplace, that loyalty is stuck in this traditional mode and needs to be much more brand focused, much more accountable to finance, much better utilizing data to serve customers, but also to serve the interests and the needs that businesses have in investing in these types of initiatives. So we've got some amazing senior brand leaders, C-level, president, SVPs from all kinds of brands. Obviously, today we're going to talk with Claudia from Margaritaville, a truly iconic brand. We just got TaylorMade signed up to speak. We've got Microsoft. We have a whole bunch of other brands that are just going to be phenomenal. So that's Loyalty Summit CXM in a very quick nutshell. 2 days at the Beverly Hilton, February 5th and 6th. And it will be a really wonderful event showing a pretty broad range of consumer brands and consumer brand leaders. So with that business out of the way, let's focus on Claudia and Margaritaville. And Claudia, again, welcome back. You joined us at the first America's Loyalty Summit CXM last year, thanks to our friends at the Mallet Group, which we appreciated.
They told me I couldn't miss it, so I couldn't.
And now you can't miss it again.
I can't. I'm super excited.
So tell everybody in your words, so they're not just hearing it from, David and me, what should people expect from this event, and what did you think of it, and why are you coming back?
Let's kind of go back in reverse, right? I'm coming back because I had a great experience last year, and I am kind of sorry that I wasn't there for the whole event. I kind of did a little bit of a dash presentation. I sat on, I think, on one of your panels, and it was one of those conferences or one of those meetings, and I was just listening to your description. One of those meetings where I truly got a lot of feedback, and I was able to connect with people that have the same problems that I have, the same challenges that I have, potentially very similar goals and very similar roles. And so it was a really interesting mixture of people. I go to a lot of conferences throughout the year, obviously, not only because I lead loyalty in Margaritaville, but I also lead reservations and technology and data and other things. So I get to see a lot of those kind of different types of meetings that exist out in the marketplace. And I was very pleasantly surprised by the mix of your attendees and quality, the quality of the presentations, the quality of the conversations. Even though I was just there for that quick day, I did get a lot, and I walked away with quite a few things. I connected with one of your attendees, I think from Mattel, and we actually had a really interesting conversation. I can't wait to see him. Hopefully he's there again, because it was a really insightful conversation.
That's great. And that was that. I mean, couldn't have scripted that any better. That's exactly what we've tried to do with that, with this event. And I think this being our second year here in the U.S., in LA, back at the Beverly Hilton, we've got an even bigger, better lineup of speakers like you coming to attend, and hopefully this year you don't need to dash off on a red eye for
No,
another.
I'm staying for the whole thing this time.
Commitment. I knew that. That's why I could say that. So what do you? I mean, aside from hopefully seeing Ted from Mattel, what are you most looking forward to in terms of coming back to LA?
I always look for these types of meetings and conferences to as our CEO says all the time, our job as the executive team in Margaritaville, and I think in any company really, is looking around the corner, right? Is what's coming, what's out there, what don't we know, what haven't we heard about, and is the things that happen, and the products, or the strategies, or the companies that are doing innovative stuff, and that are coming up with really cool things to do. They're always in the news, and that's, it's easy to kind of understand what's happening and who's doing what. Is it things that we don't know about, and the things that we don't hear about, or that people are potentially experiencing but don't have an audience to talk to or bounce things against? That I really look forward to the most is like I said, right, is finding people that have potentially the same challenges that we're having, or the same questions that I have, because there are some questions that I'm like, okay, I don't know who to ask. And in our case, for example, one of the things that we both enjoy and suffer at the same time is Margaritaville is a very unique brand. We're so expanded, we're so diverse, that we have different problems in different places sometimes, or different challenges, or different opportunities. And so for us, sitting down with a hospitality brand, even though that's probably the majority of our business, sometimes it's not enough. We have to actually talk through and think about the branding opportunity, the conference opportunity, what's the other thing that I was thinking? Consumer products, right? Like all these other things that connect the brand and that create, and we talked about it last year during my session, it's all about emotional connection. And loyalty is so highly driven by emotional connectivity and emotional banking almost with your consumers, that we have to be extra careful and extra kind of cautious in looking around the corner and seeing or hearing about the things that we potentially don't hear on a daily basis.
It's such a good, healthy perspective to have, and certainly having worked across a lot of different verticals, and B2B, B2C, B2B2C. It's amazing what you can learn, selling drugs for animals that help you sell shoes for Nike.
Yeah.
And so as listening to you, thinking about some of the other brands that are going to be there, I mentioned TaylorMade and golf. Golf is nothing if not an emotional experience, and a head game for people playing golf and buying all these clubs, and
it's also an investment, right? It's not a cheap sport. It's not a cheap hobby to have. So yeah, it's you also want to think about those things, right? Is where can I run into the people that are running companies that have the similar economic impact on a family decision, right? If going on vacation is not a decision, ultimately, sometimes even the adults are not making the decisions. The children are making the decisions, or the grandchildren are making the decision as to where to go on vacation. And so building memories is that much more important when you are also trying to be lucrative and trying to be profitable. You can't mess with the experience. So that's the other piece that you don't always have in large entities or in large enterprises. The emotional connection is not as important, right? I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but airline and large enterprise solutions and loyalty programs are transactional. They're highly transactional, and they're highly engaged on or highly hinged on that return on investment for that person that is member of that loyalty program. For us, it's all about memories. It's all about, moments and micro moments and leading with the heart. So
yeah, the airline's a great example, right? The most of the emotion that comes with flying is a negative emotion, not a positive one.
Yes, especially in some airports.
You could also say that. So we're gonna have Hope Tannenbaum, who's had a membership for the NBA, coming. I mean, depending on what city and what team you pull for, that can be a polarizing emotional experience.
That's very true. I
as
should have
well,
worn a
right?
different shirt today.
Well, hopefully that your shirt brings you the luck of the Irish.
It's the luck of the Irish. I'm telling you,
Coming
we're
up.
going this week.
So so we've talked a lot about like what you're going to get out of this from talking to other folks. Why don't you take a minute and give everybody watching and listening today a preview of what your session is going to cover?
Yeah, that's interesting. And of course, we're still working on the content and trying to make it as engaging and as useful as possible for the audience that will be there. I think we are going to try to focus on the ability that some brands, including Margaritaville, have to get outside of the box in loyalty that everybody's playing in. Loyalty is a market that is highly saturated, right? All of the brands have loyalty programs. There's a lot of loyalty programs out there that compete and almost cannibalize each other, right? And there's aggregators as well, the Points Guy or whoever, all these kind of aggregators of points that are bringing a different type of, again, solution to the guest or to the consumer, where it's highly transactional and it's very much a game of is both a game of skill and a game of math, right? You have to know where to spend your points, and it becomes almost it's a task, it's a job, and it's hard for consumers to, again, be emotionally connected to something that they have to be so aware of in terms of transactions, so that their loyalty can be valued. And so we talked a little bit about that and kind of how we go and step away from all of that and solve, at least in the hospitality side, like we did with Margaritaville Perks. How do we solve for the things that don't work in loyalty right now with the big brands, and obviously the big box brands, they have a complete different model of business and they do business very differently. But for medium-sized brands or small-sized brands or emotionally connected brands like we are, the only option for loyalty is to be true to that loyalty piece. And so I think in our session, you're going to find out what problems we were trying to solve, what challenges we saw in the industry that we wanted to bring easy solutions to our partners and our franchisees, and as well as our consumers. And then how we deployed a large program that in the last 2 years has garnered about 350,000 members and produced over $150 million in revenue for our franchisee partners, with a shoestring budget and very few resources, but really, really good partners and a really strong strategy. So hoping that can inspire some of your attendees to try new things.
From what I know and from what we've talked about, and certainly from what you've shared last year, I think you will be amazing at helping people understand what it means to get loyalty unstuck.
It's our wish. It's definitely our hope that people can walk away with a few notes in their notebook and they can take it back to their executive team and go, hey, we can do this. And this is how other brands are doing it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is so impressive about what you guys do, and it's so key to creating actual loyalty versus transactional loyalty, is you've got a team that you're part of that are really leading the organization and prioritizing the guests and the franchisees because of the nature of your business model. There'll be a lot for people to take away from that, and hopefully inspire them to do similar types of things. And I think your point about being true to the loyalty that especially for a brand like Margaritaville, for an idea for that place of the Margaritaville occupies is so highly emotional, and it really underscores that when you make it overly transactional, you devalue and dilute the power of that brand.
Absolutely. And again, the list of challenges that we had to solve for with this loyalty program when we first started creating the strategy, it was a very simple 3-point kind of base, right? Is how do we help our franchisees? How do we connect with our consumers in better way, right? How do we connect with our consumer? And number 3, how do we make them feel special, both our franchisees and our consumers? How do we pay back for the loyalty that they have with us already? Because Margaritaville has been around for 40 years as a song, 45 years as a song, about 30 some years as restaurants. So for us coming into the hospitality space, we had people that were already loyal to Margaritaville before we had hotels, before we had cruises, before we had all these things. They already loved what Margaritaville stands for. So you have to honor that. You have to be able to deliver on that promise of delivering escapism, delivering fun. Otherwise, you're just kind of, basically creating your own problems, right? So we definitely didn't want to create any more problems for us. So yeah, I hope that we can drive some of that to your audience. And again, we're not selfish, and we're not very secretive. So we're happy to share the wealth of knowledge as well and experience. We've learned a lot through this process.
That's a great point, Claudia, because one of the things that some folks have asked about is, is there going to be media there? Because there are some companies that don't feel as open as that.
Yes.
And for everybody watching and thinking about attending, this is a private event. This is not open to the media, and it's really a safe space to share. And the whole point of this is, we want to advance the industry. We want to help the brands who care about customers and other stakeholders to thrive and be sustainable for a long time. So I'll just say, Claudia, thanks in advance. Can't wait to see you in LA. Appreciate you committing to doing this again. And no red eyes. And
I'll take a red eye, but that's fine because I'll stay for cocktail hours, so it's okay. We'll have a margarita.
We will have them. Exactly. I was waiting for somebody to tee that up.
Indeed.
David, thanks for letting us take over the show today.
Absolutely, Claudia. We can't wait to have you there. It was a great contribution last year, and very excited to prod you with some extra questions and insights at the actual event as well. So looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Absolutely, and good to see you again.
Thanks to you both.
Thank you, guys.
Great fun.
See you in LA.